Okay, it's time again for me to do a gun show report and panic buying. Now this one, a little bit different because back in the day when the perceived thought under the Obama administration that there was going to be laws passed outlawing certain firearms and putting restrictions on ammunition, there was a lot of panic buying, hoarding, and all kinds of other things that ran in cycles. Now it's a little bit different. We have the same circumstances, but we have added things also thrown into the mix. And as discussed in all my other ones, gun shows as a venue for a lot of people, especially collectors. People who collect mil surplus or older firearms, or just people who are more into gun collecting and something not in the mainstream of your polymer handguns, defense guns, pump shotguns and that, things of that nature. And don't hoard ammunition or are looking to buy large sums of ammunition. The gun show has kind of gotten to where people like that don't go. And like I said, it turns into a social event, okay? Now, with the COVID problem, again, this is where there's no consistency. I know in a lot of states people have sent me emails that they opened up venues and were going to gun shows for months. Here in my area in North Carolina, what they've done is it's kind of like the area, they've fragmented everything to where the local city or county decides this. And so you're finding very sporadic. Like this summer, there was the state fairgrounds had a couple large gun shows, which some of the larger ones are up there at the state fairgrounds in Raleigh, and they allowed the flea market and several other things. So they did have some events, but in Greensboro there was a big political thing where the mayor wanted to close the gun show down or ban it altogether from the event center at the Coliseum, which that was about a year or so, 2 years ago, started a political uproar and they couldn't legally do it and it was dropped. But what I'm finding is, depending on the political atmosphere of what little county, fiefdom, or area you live, like any of the major cities like Durham, Raleigh, Greensboro, Charlotte, Salisbury is a larger city in between Greensboro and Charlotte. It depends on the local ordinances, okay? And I'm finding that around here, most of the gun show venues are closed. They're not open. You know, there's no gun show in Greensboro, which was a large one, and the other one, which is fairly decent size, the one promoter that usually ran them in Winston-Salem, when I was checking, they were being canceled. He has one like every other month. It's not as large as the Greensboro show, but still, it's a fairly decent sized show. He's, you know, it's like I said, you can't tell. They have them somewhere in some counties and they won't have them anything close by, and a lot of people are discouraged because another thing, like I said, a lot of people don't go to gun shows because it all depends what you're looking for, and what they've turned into is just like this massive bunch of dealers come, and even the dealers themselves, they only bring, well, they bring things people are looking to buy, whether it be a panic or normal. So in other words, they mark down very popular handguns, sporting rifles, AR-15 platforms are popular, and of course ammunition. Okay. Now another thing which I've seen with gun shows is reloading components such as primers, powder, stuff like that. A lot of these, they've kind of went, the fire marshals and regulations have gotten to where they put these fellas out of business. Okay, you don't see them. Because I used to go to the gun shows, like say I wanted 1 pound of powder. Most stores will stock very little, and they'll stock what people will buy, okay? So when you're looking for something different or a little unusual, you can't find it, then you have to resort to ordering it through the mail, paying the fees. So I used to go to the shows in Charlotte and down in Fayetteville, down by Fort Bragg. Used to have people set up with a real nice selection of different powders, primers, reloading components. Even though you're kind of paying more, it still ended up costing you less if you wanted to try 1 pound of a certain type of powder than ordering it and getting it delivered with the hazmat fees and everything else. But I've noticed that these people kind of been squeezed out because of the regulations. Now, I went to a gun show this past weekend because there is one guy promoting these shows. He started about a year or so ago, 6 shooters gun shows. And actually, he does a pretty brisk, he's got a gun show every weekend. And what his formula is basically it's a very small venue. Okay, I'd say it's like 1/5 of the size of a medium-sized show, you know. He only has 3 aisles, and usually it's like when he does the National Guard Armory, he's putting the whole thing in something the size of a basketball court, so that gives you an idea. It's a very small show, and he only charges, I don't think he runs them where they charge you to park, and he only charges you $5 to get in. Okay, which a lot of shows is anywhere from 12 to 15. I think Greensboro's almost $16 to get in there with the parking, and you gotta pay for parking. So it's a small venue, but he only grabs you $5, so can't kind of complain there. Well, they had one this weekend, and like I said, with the political thing, people were wondering how did he pull this off. Well, he ended up having a venue at the Moose Lodge, which is like way on the edge of town. Okay, and when I was asking around there how did he do this, and somebody said that he got it reclassified as a reseller of a necessity or something. Somehow they changed the word in the rulings to where he's allowed to open his venues. Now again, Moose Lodge, this hall, banquet hall or whatever, again about the size of a basketball court. Okay, that's the size of this room. And it was quite packed. He advertised, he had signs up. There was a good turnout. I mean, we were parking out in the road, the parking lot was full. It's not a big place, this is the venue. And there was a hefty turnout of people. But the thing about his shows is where when you go to the giant ones where they have food vendors and there was a food vendor outside. But I mean the ones indoors where they have a facility and you can order something to eat. I forget, one of them in Raleigh, they have a whole cafeteria inside this building. So when you go to the building, there is a cafeteria open, you can stop and have lunch. So a lot of people go to these venues and stay for a while. With these small venues, and he had like a catering truck outside, is the only refreshments you could get. It takes you about 15-20 minutes to view this whole show. Okay, and unless something catches your eye or you're really interested in something, it's kind of strange. It's like a bunch of people come in, look around, get what they want, and come out real fast. So it's not like you have people lingering in there quite long. So even though there was a crowd, and again, with COVID-19, they had a sign there that they recommend you wear a mask. They didn't say you must have a mask to get in there. Okay, and of course, you didn't want to get nailed by the fire marshal, so you had to wait, and the reason you were waiting is when so many people would come out, they let so many people in because it was pretty congested in there. The building was full of people. Okay, you couldn't just walk down the aisle. There was a pretty good crowd. but the crowd didn't linger. Figure 20 minutes, 30 minutes, they're done, or they got what they wanted and they leave. So it was a little bit different in that respect, that there was a lot of people, but they were going in and out fast and leaving. So it was kind of different than the larger venues. Now, prices. Let's get into this. This is another thing. Like I said, the gun shows are turning into where, like I said, there's not much in terms of collectibles, but there were two guys that deal in old mill surplus. I'd say they're the large dealers. When they go to the show, they usually get 10 tables. That's how much stuff they bring. And it's all old mill surplus ammo, and things like that. So the two big dealers were in there. One's an older fella, and another guy, I'm friends with him. He was there, but he was so busy I didn't get a chance to talk to him the 20, 30 minutes I was there. And prices, I think what the one guy was selling, he was selling, he's savvy. He has stuff that people are looking for. It was basically, I think he had a bunch of SKS rifles and something else there that he was constantly getting a turnover one way or the other. He had a nice assortment of older handguns and stuff, and standard thing, some 7mm Spanish Mausers. There was a Gewehr 98. He has a very good assortment. And same with the other gentleman down there. He has bayonets, accessories, old guns, some handguns, ammunition, clips, magazines, things, all these things. But prices were somewhat high. Okay, even it's just that when you look online, the prices are high on this stuff. Now, there was also an assortment of, people dealing with more modern, brand new guns, the AR, excuse me, AR-15s, and, hold on a second, have to excuse me, throat got a little dry. AR-15s, I guess AK-47s, even the sporterized version with synthetic stocks, they go for $900. There were people with new weapons out there, and the one thing about this small venue is he does draw in a lot of, depending on where it is, he gets local people that are a small deal there, but you do get exposed to a lot of used guns, not so much mill surplus, but a lot of older, just used guns in general. It's stuff that's not made anymore, be it small pistols. Another interruption me. But he does get some smaller dealers or off-the-wall dealers that don't go to the larger venues, and you will find some stuff that may be interesting, out of the ordinary. Older guns, used guns, things you can't really find that easily, or maybe of interest. Something that's no longer manufactured or something like that. But prices. Now, I didn't even bother looking at a lot of the stuff. Prices were extremely high. Like there was the Thompson, it'd be the carbine version of the submachine gun, semi-automatic version. I don't know who makes them. There were several makers over the years, but people had one of them, and they were quite steep. There was a friend of mine there that was going on, man, he goes, what they're charging for M1A1s, M1 Garands, if there are any there. I think I seen an M1 Garand in there. He went and looked at the prices. I didn't even bother, and he said they were quite high. And again, they had the usual Bursa handguns, the low-end guns, say sub $500 handguns, and they were selling a lot of them. The sales were brisk. That's kind of something that's always going to sell. Defense handguns, maybe some shotguns. I seen people walking out with some firearms, and then again, everyone was buying these little 500-round cases of Winchester ammunition. which ammunition prices, and if you can find ammunition, is insane. By the time I got there, about 2 hours after the show opened, there was really no 9mm ammunition that wasn't probably priced less than $1 a round. There was 22s. Now I remember a year or so ago I bought a carton of 22s, and I forget, I think I was paying less than $20, and I'd sell them for $3 a piece and make 50 or 75 cents or something. And I bought a pile of them, and I just take them to the flea market, because it's one of them weird things. When people walk through, they'll always buy 1 or 2 boxes of 22 shells, single individual boxes. And I've sold a few thousand rounds like that. I just sit there in the afternoon, people come by and grab $3, $6, whatever, kind of as a convenience thing. The same ammunition, guy had a price for a 50-round box, $10. Okay, and I know what he paid. So that's $50. No, it's 500 rounds. That's 10 boxes. $100 a carton for something he paid $19 for. All right, so if there was stuff there, the stuff I did look at that was priced was marked up quite high. There was no reloading components at all, and I think part of his thing, I looked up his listing at a show, no black powder substitute, but I think a lot of it, that's why you don't see it, is A, reloading components are not available, and B, a lot of the venues, see, I don't know if the venue doesn't allow it. Depends on the fire regulations, and that varies from, again, county and locality, okay, at least where I am, all right? But there was a lot of people, and like I said, anything that was probably reasonably priced in terms of ammunition was gone. Talking to some of the vendors and dealers there, I heard rumors where one guy a friend of his, or brother-in-law or something, went to a Raleigh show and some other show and was selling ammunition. He was selling 9mm for $25 a box, and whatever ammunition he had, it's just somebody who's a dealer might get a whole skid of the stuff delivered. But he said in 2 weekends, when they did open the shows up, he moved $120,000 of inventory, depending on how large of a shop you're running, but it makes a good story, put it to you that way. But you look at the price of the ammo, and it was generally anywhere from $8 to $10, 9 something for that Winchester military style ammo. It was 9 and some change, and you figure you're paying $10 a box. I've seen it online. Matter of fact, I got an email where they were selling, what was it? Oh, the Blazer. That stuff's they were $8, $8.25 a box. Okay, I bought a bunch of it. It's good ammo. But there was a deal where if you bought a case, I don't know if that included the shipping, but what the price they had stated for 1,000 rounds, it come out to $47.50 for a 50-round box. Okay, and you had to buy 1,000 of them. So they're obviously manufacturing ammunition. It's just I don't believe that the price, something that retailed 9 months ago for $8.50, is now $47.50 a box. So I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if it's worth going to gun shows. See, that's another thing. A lot of people say that also, is you go there and kind of the disappointment, you spend the money and the time to get there, and really there's nothing that you would buy there. Okay, so that's one of the downfalls of it. But there are people out there, and they had tables where I could see where they purchase something, what it is, be it guns or ammunition. It was gone. There was a couple other people that had ammunition laid out, and by the time I got there, it was some 17 rimfire, some 22 rimfire, and a lot of your specialty stuff, with the bullets, depending on whatever brand, where they sell them in 25 round boxes because they're extremely expensive to begin with before the panic, and God only knows what they were asking. Now, after the panic, for these, defense rounds with specialized hollow point bullets and stuff, so it's tough. And even though the surplus market is quite brisk online, and that's another thing, when you go with your online, your other resources are your online retailers like the Carcano Rifles. They've dumped a few thousand of them out onto the market. Actually, to where so many of them, to where they're not quite selling out. They were selling out different batches in a few months, but now most of the people selling them are actually running sales on them. Okay, that's how many they brought in. And the thing I've noticed, there's no ammo. So everyone's in a scramble for at least a couple boxes, a 6.5 Carcano, which is kind of non-existent because you really didn't sell a lot. And even when I went to gun shows and the flea market, I'd very rarely sell a box or two here and there, Every now and again somebody would find that I had, and they didn't care what the price, they just buy it, and that was that. But now demand is high there. And a few other calibers, which are a little odd, now I ran my mouth about it, I get a lot of inquiries for several different military rifle calibers. They can't be found. And again, I've not seen any primers for sale other than on like the gun broker, where they are 5 to 6 times more than what they should be. Pretty ridiculous. It went from a brick of 1,000, went from about a $30 item to, I think there are people offering you, if you buy 5,000 in a case, which they come 5 of them bricks in a case, and it comes out to about $65, which would be double the price. But if you have no primers, and it's getting to where, I always keep a few thousand of everything lying around all the time, and I bought, 6 or 7,000 different sizes when this all was starting, but because of demand, I've run out of just about everything, and that will be a problem. So it's tough to say, because in the past it would spike up, run for a few months, then it would kind of go down, okay, and then things would kind of level out, get caught up, and it's like then another thing in the news and go up and down. But now, like I said, you got more than just the political end of it, which is kind of frightening. They haven't decided the election yet, so again, this is a huge problem, because what I think the biggest problem is they're shaking the, you can't believe no one. They put it to you that way. They're shaking your confidence in the government, the whole system, the laws, how they carry out the laws, and all this stuff. And then you throw this COVID, which is a global war on, everyone. This is not just here in the U.S. My friends overseas are telling me it's crazy. Okay, more lockdowns, more of this. This is throwing a monkey wrench. This is really scaring the hell out of people, combined with the fact of this election year fiasco. Okay, I don't see it letting up anytime soon, and doesn't matter one way or the other how they decide this election, shit's gonna fly, okay, no matter which way it goes. Okay, it's not gonna end quietly or peacefully. And then in the middle of all this, with this election shit, you got this COVID crashing down on everyone, okay, and now they're using every trick in the book. They basically shut down in my area all the gun show venues, so you ain't going nowhere. And now they're getting stricter in the stores. I just went into the convenience stores, and I've been going in there, never said nothing about a mask, okay? Now there's giant signs up. Please do not attack our employees. It is not their decision. They do not make this, but if you wish to come in here and purchase anything, you must wear a mask in the store. Okay, which I didn't have one. Went in there, got something, got out quick, and nobody said anything to me. But this is where it's getting to now, where this COVID thing is crashing down on people. And you know, it's really confusing. This year's bad, and I'm never going to see nothing like. Hopefully, never see nothing like this again. But yeah, the situation is strange. Now, those of you who live in states that lightened up, and because I've gotten emails from people telling me they've been going to gun shows all summer long. You know, unfortunately, that ain't how it is here in my area. Okay, now if I want to drive 2-3 hours, I can attend some sort of venue or event or something, but I'm not really, it's not worth the time and trouble for me to do that. Okay, so that's my take on the situation. You know, stay tuned and subscribe, keep up with the channel, and more to come when it shows up.